All right.
Alex. Hi, Alex. Nice to meet you.
Hello, hello. Nice
Uh,
to meet you, man.
Alex, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where you are, where you're from, what you do?
Yes, this is always like a tricky one because you don't know exactly what to explain. As in like I'm changing every day. I'm a new person every day, and I like to believe that I am nobody and everything. And this is what also my book is all about. This is the
Mm.
title of my book that will come next this year is Be Nobody, Become Everything. So that's how I like to really identify myself as. But yeah, what I'm doing is like I'm helping people really step into their power, step into their soul mission and what they came here on the planet to experience, to do, to give to the world, and to tune into their gifts and their magic and trust themselves and really build that confidence that they are worthy for it. There's a bigger reason behind this. And yeah, I've been having a big journey behind me, of course, like we all do, right? Uh, and I'm born in Romania, in Transylvania.
Oh,
I
okay.
lived in yeah, I lived in Germany for 7 years. In my teenage years, I moved to Germany. I also have German roots, so it feels like naturally life took me there to explore that part of me and that part of my ancestry. And from there, I felt the call to move to Bali.
God.
And I lived in Bali for 4 years, and I had amazing transformative and healing experiences there, and initiations, and oh man, it was so powerful. And now I live in Costa Rica. I moved from Bali to Costa Rica 1 year and 2 months, or 1 month ago, 1 year and 1 month, yeah.
Mhm.
And ever since I live here, connecting with community, there's a lot of eco villages and communities like these, conscious communities happening here. And yeah, I'm bringing my part, my gifts into that, and I'm co-creating with these people and amazing influencers and amazing new earth leaders and healers or co-creators, however we want to call them, right? So
Mhm.
this is why I feel called to be here. And yeah, man, I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I love life here. Costa Rica is very neutral. It's a neutral ground where you can just create,
I love
you
that.
know.
Yeah, sounds amazing. And I mean, so in Bali, it had similar, but it wasn't quite the same, or what? What's
Yeah, but Bali, yes, well, Bali is also in the tropics, and a lot of, I would say, people who are on the same vibrational wavelength gather there, kind of like a soul family, soul tribe energy. And we are
Mhm.
all, healing, going through certain aspects and initiations and transformative experiences, expansion of consciousness, spirituality, all of these things is like a hub of really awakening and healing and expansion, right? But what I don't didn't like so much about Bali is that it's overcrowded.
Okay.
It's oversaturated. It's so much people. It's a little bit, actually a lot pollution. There's like constantly around 8 million people on the island in now when tourists came back after COVID.
Mhm.
So and before that as well. And it's a small island, and you cannot sustain that number of people. And you can see that. You can see the impact in the environment.
Mhm.
So I didn't feel like I wanted to participate in that, but I always love to go to Bali whenever I would have the occasion. I have good friends there and so on. But yeah, I felt the calling to explore Costa Rica and this beautiful part of the world where it's way more neutral, way more space, way more abundant nature and wildlife. And yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I can relate actually. Where I was living in Portugal, the Algarve, which is the south coast of Portugal, the population is only 500,000, but in the summer we receive over 5 million tourists. And
Oh wow.
to give you perspective, the whole of Portugal is only the size of New Jersey, so it's quite a small country. And so
Hmm.
the Algarve is just one small region that really, really does get overfull is the best way to put it. Still respectable tourists we have in the Algarve, so it's we still have blue flag beaches, and you know there's not a lot of major issues, but I can completely relate to that. And so yeah, Costa Rica sounds like a dream. Really sounds like an amazing place to be. Yeah, I've actually connected with people who are forming communities in Costa Rica, and so you know, can you tell me a little bit about these the types of communities that are over there and what they're, you know, are they large communities, small communities? How are they breaching the bridge of sustainability and eco communities?
Yeah, well, there's lots of intentional communities here happening and more to come. And they all have different elements that make them unique. I like the ones who are very focused on sustainability and permaculture and actually connecting with food, which is, you know, so essential for our sovereignty, right? Like without food, you have nothing really to begin with. So you need that element. So I like that, right? And there's also communities that are focused more on a family energy and co-working space, more, you know, different ages of people and so on. So it's really kind of like a lot. And also there are like communities that are focused on healing, on plant medicine, on all of these things. And that is also, I feel like lately that's on to a big extent, it's exploding. Like all of these communities are building retreat center and wellness centers. It feels like they are preparing for something big, globally speaking. And personally, I don't feel drawn to be in those communities because there's a lot of healing happening and there's a lot of that energy, which is great. But I feel like I want to be part of a community who is more like focused on creation, on conscious creating, or on a different aspect, you know, prioritizing that instead of healing. Because I discovered that when you prioritize creation and you know, stepping into your creator power, healing happens kind of automatically. You don't need to accelerate it or to push it in any way, right? So I didn't so much of those communities, but I know it's gonna happen. And if it doesn't, I'm gonna start one.
Awesome.
But it's a lot. It's a lot. Most of it permaculture, plant medicine, healing, wellness, stuff like this.
I love that. I mean, really, it's good to see all these different models being explored because, you know, my vision of the future is kind of bringing it all together so that all communities work out how to be sustainable. And the way I look at sustainability is it starts with humans first. We all have to become sustainable and sustain ourselves before we can sustain our environment and our planet.
Totally.
Yeah, and this is what led me to be realizing that in a lot of ways I am a conscious creator, always have been, but I've only just in the last 3 years really understood the term and really got involved with the movement as well, because there are many of us out there now.
Yeah, and for sure.
So tell me, what kind of things do you foresee in a conscious creators community? So
can you ask again the question?
Yeah, so in your community, what kind of things would be people focus on as conscious creators?
Nice. I would, because, you know, I feel like I'm a natural leader and I can, you know, I already do that with people in my life, in my clients. The focus in that and everything I'm doing really, but especially in my community, is for them to discover who they really are and what they are really here for. And that is what is in my community. Everything will be all about. As you said, it's about you be self-sufficient, you be fully knowing yourself. What does it mean fully? We always expand, we always grow, right? But like to a degree that it just makes sense of who you are and why you're here for. You know what you want, right?
Yeah,
you know you know why you are sent here or why you choose to be here. And I'm, you know, this is what I direct my community and my energy towards in any person I'm working and co-creating with. Find out who they truly are and connect with their inner source within.
Mhm.
And this is what I will, focus my energy on in community, and because that is something that no plant medicine and no tool and no method can ultimately give
Mm.
you. They are
Mhm.
all channels and tools and practices that all help you achieve that within yourself. But I believe there is a simple, clear, pure path towards that, because that was my journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never,
Sorry.
yeah, I never asked big questions. I had no idea about spirituality. I had no idea about many things, and it just boom, all of a sudden I had a profound awakening, seeing it all, and it was clear. And I believe we can all access that naturally, and that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, I believe so too. I think all of these things are really important, healing and healthy living and all these things. They help clear the energy flow within our body. But like you say, I think one of the conclusions I've came to is the only way we can really get clear on who we are is through making conscious decisions about who we are and really looking into who we are and finding out what isn't us, that we've adopted, to fit into life and to be accepted, because it's kind of the way that we've been taught to live, to grow up. This is what people do. NLP, we look and we learn.
Yeah,
And now we've got a new level of looking inwards and looking into ourselves and going, hey, what really makes me happy? What makes me what do I want to see in this world? What do I want to create?
exactly. Because that's what I believe we are. We are all creators. Either we are conscious of it or not. Either we do it deliberately or on autopilot. That's
Yes,
ultimately what I feel and believe.
I believe as well. Yeah, I mean, I've got huge belief that it's the collective energy behind things that make things turn out the way they do. And ultimately, the biggest goal we've got right now is making that collective energy a little bit more positive and a little bit more
Yeah,
focused on what we want rather than what we don't want, which I think a lot of people unfortunately focus their attention on what they don't want in life.
exactly. And they are also so related. What we don't want with what you do want. It's so related,
Yeah,
actually. If you
polar
know what you don't
opposites.
want,
Yeah.
yes. And if you don't know what you don't want, you know what you do want. If you really manage to shift the perspective, might also happen to
Yeah,
experience that.
absolutely. And so, from your perspective, what is the difference between conscious creation or being a conscious creator and an unconscious creator?
Good question. An unconscious creator creates from its programming, I would say, from what
Mm-hmm.
he had been taught by either family, friends, society, educational systems. He's not really owning his own choice.
Mm.
There is a programming behind somewhere in his subconscious, in his conscious mind, whatever it is, that really acts and reacts in life in certain ways, which gives him certain results that he thinks he wants, or thinks that is who he is and wants to experience. And of course, you can say that about conscious creator as well, because we all have programming in that sense. We all install a belief, and ultimately that belief can become our reality. However, the difference is that the conscious creator is, for me, is in tune with the universal laws.
Mm.
He's creating from that space. He's not creating from programming, conditioning, from what society thinks, wants, or believes. He's creating from his connection with source, God, higher self, however we want to call it. And yeah, it's a co-creation with the universe in that sense.
Love that.
This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
this is what a conscious creator is, and of course, it takes a lot of devotion and commitment to be in that energy. But it is so much rewarding. I mean, what are we doing here if we are not doing that? This is how I see it now.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something I really relate to, because I can look back at times where I made conscious choices to change my life and actually did it, but I wasn't actually fully aware of how I was doing it. And at the time, it was a belief in a higher power. Yeah. and then commitment to myself, and then good conscious choices about what I wanted and working towards it. But because I didn't have the awareness that I was the creator myself, often I'd go, oh, life looked after me this time. And, you know, I would almost give away the power that I had to chance, to luck, to whatever. And often that led me to get off the path a little bit. But now I'm fully aware of it. Like you say, that we're co-creating with Source, with God, with the infinite power that is the all. We you know, we now see that we are equally as important and able to.
Yes.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference. Sorry.
Totally. And when you see that, you realize I have 100% responsibility for my choices, to my decisions, for everything I'm doing in life. There is no externalization of your power to anyone, to anything, to your partner, to your government, to your friends and family, to whatever, to chance, to the universe. Sometimes we even say the universe tested me. No, it didn't. Your subconscious, your programming tests you, and you get a choice from that moment. Do I go with the same pattern, or do I change something here? But as you said, we are the creators, like fully. And the more we admit and claim that, the more we also experience that. And sometimes we actually get, it can be scary sometimes realizing that you have that power, because you realize that everything you attract in your life, it's really up to you. And some people run away from all of those thoughts and dark things, wanting to blame me that, oh, this is not mine, this is not mine, this is someone else's. But it's all us, it's all ourselves, even others, if you think about it that way. So,
yeah, absolutely, because we're all connected. It's just our own thoughts, beliefs, desires reflecting back at us through others as well. Yeah, this is a really interesting concept. So how important is self-honesty to being a conscious creator?
Man, that's I think that's a very big key thing to have. That for me, I would translate that into integrity, right? To be fully honest with myself means to be fully in integrity. And this is what I teach when I teach people about conscious creating. You have to be in integrity, meaning that no matter what choice you do and decision you do, you're 100% agreeing with that and taking responsibility for it, and be honest about that, because there is no hiding thing needed. When we hide anything about our intention, it becomes manipulative also to the other, right?
Yeah.
And this is where we create these weird entanglements. Instead of creations and co-creations, we create entanglements, karmic connections, however we call them. So it's so important to be honest with yourself. Self-honesty, as you said, as I translated it as integrity. Yeah. That's so key.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think, and as we were just talking about, we'll also get sent signs coming back at us that we need to learn the lesson created by ourselves when we're not honest with ourselves. So what is heart consciousness?
Heart consciousness. I feel like for me, heart consciousness is the glue. Is the glue that connects everything in existence and keeps it together. Is that unconditional love that we are referring to, right? When we speak about unconditional love, we have to be in a place of unconditional love. This is what it means. When you come from there, you see unity in everything, even in the decisions that were maybe not in alignment with you at some point in time. And then heart consciousness has the power to really dissolve everything into unity and harmony. And that's the beauty about heart consciousness. This is how I perceive it. And also it's like the fifth dimensional consciousness, however we call it, but that's the foundation of higher dimensions as well.
Beautiful. I love that. So it's kind of like an acceptance of everything as it is, just as it was, and the ability to not be sort of emotionally torn between by circumstances and everything. And as you say, show unconditional love. I think you've just used some of the the words for me that mean a lot. So peaceful and harmonious, unity, all those things are like key words for how I see the future, and also how I see a lot of life now, that when you look between the lines, people are a lot more connected than I think many people believe. And a lot of the disconnection that's actually happening is with self. And that self-doubt causes us to doubt everybody else.
Of course, yeah.
So what practices do you do for mind and heart coherence?
I love very simple practice, man. To connect these two, I found out that the most simple way I can do that is through movement, body movement.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Either dancing, ecstatic dances, and free flow, dancing with my own spirit. Either really exercising, going to the gym with no agenda, or with the agenda of I want to become that and that. No, I just go because I like how it feels in my body. Yoga, swimming, any type of things that bring you into the body and give you that sensation of I am in the body right now. Really, I feel like it bridges mind with heart. And of course, I also have some meditations that I help people to do that. And I also do a lot of visualized practices on my own. I'm visualizing my mind being together with my heart in unity and harmony and so on. So there's many ways, but I find that body movement naturally puts you there without even thinking about it, as well as breathing, conscious breathing.
Yeah, I love
That's
that.
also key.
Awesome. Yeah, because I do a lot of breathing and exercise myself, and I've started doing a lot of yoga. I really enjoy yoga. But I think what you said there is really interesting, is like going to the gym with an agenda. I think that I find it funny how so many people see exercise as something they're going to do until they've reached a goal. When really it's such an important part of our everyday lives.
It should be the daily thing, because when we lived in nature in the past, we always were involved physically with something, and we lost that connection. So we are just sitting on our computers, and our mind can expand into that realm of logical thinking and rationalizing. And our body is really, you don't even feel your body for so many hours. Imagine that, like you're not feeling your body actually. You're always here. So you bring it back, and when you bring it back, you bring your consciousness back, the heart starts to shine through that as well, and that's where the unity, the harmony happens. And of course, be in a relationship. Try being in a relationship, and that's the most mind-heart connection you can do, because those are, relationships are heart opening, really.
For sure, yeah, for sure. And a big part of keeping the energy flowing is a big part of consciousness, clarity, and becoming sustainable as well. And I think it helps us all. It's like in our relationships with ourselves and others, to have clear flow of energy. I think those blockages are often what cause us not to be able to communicate, where we get into bad habits from sitting for too long, not exercising regularly, and those kind of things.
Totally.
Yeah. So what are the signs that you are a conscious creator or heading towards one? Is there anything people who maybe do not understand what they're doing could spot, as to see that these things are happening for them, they've got the potential to get out there and achieve more than they already are?
Can you ask
signs
the question?
Signs that somebody is a powerful creator, a conscious creator.
Nice. Yes, so I guess one of the first signs is that you are tired of surviving. You are tired of just surviving. You are tired of just playing a role into something that maybe has nothing to do with you when you realize it, just for the sake of living and eating and having a roof over your head. So when we are tired of that, when you're like, okay, I experienced this and I had it good for a while, now I want to know what is more out there. And in that moment, you already awaken your creative consciousness, because it invites you to imagine, to desire new things. And I'd say that desire is the spark of conscious creating. The moment you have a desire,
nice,
you're already starting this journey. So that's one of the signs as well, like having a desire. And of course, desires can be from ego, from the mind, from the program, or it can come from the heart and from the soul. And I guess to discern that is to just realize what is the agenda behind your desire. Is it to feel good? Or is it to achieve something that you attach to as happiness or next level, whatever, you know? That's what people make a mistake sometimes. Desires are supposed to make you feel good. You know, like that genuine feeling of, I'm satisfied with my life. When it comes from that place, you're on a nice conscious creating journey already.
I love that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I can so relate to that myself. Having chosen to create things in my life for the wrong reasons, or to solve a problem rather than to actually have something that's going to fulfill me in my life, for example. Yeah, and then having the consequences afterwards. Yeah, and so now, one of the things that comes up a lot with creation is specifically like creation from a place of ego and aligning desires is masculine and feminine. So why is it important to understand masculine and feminine energy?
Well, I think it's we're naturally, by default, we kind of understand that by default as being, you know, it's like the laws of gravity. You don't need to know about the laws of gravity to gravitate and be on Earth. So it's the same with masculine and feminine, but because we lived in this war of thousands of years of fight and battles between these polarized aspects of ourselves, then it is important to rebuild that connection, to purify it and become clear of what actually are these energies, these powers, right? And that's why it's important for those people who have been wounded or had traumatic experiences within their father-mother lineage. Generally, that's why people cannot be in relationships, is because they have a certain wounding in their feminine or masculine lineage somewhere down the line in their lives. So it's important to rebuild, reconstruct that, reach that purity of what is the feminine, what is the masculine, and how can I relate with that within myself. And I think once we do that, this is related with the conscious creation journey, because once we can be in peace with these energies within ourselves, with both of these duality, polarized energies, is when we also have a smooth conscious creating journey, because we understand how both add to the experience of conscious creating, how the masculine energy adds and how the feminine energy adds.
Yeah.
So that is why it's important, because they both have a unique signature in the conscious creating, on the conscious creating path.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since I've started to learn more about them, I really see where as an example, I think we share a similar story, but my father left when I was 2, and then my stepdad joined us when I was 5, and then my first stepdad, he left at 7, and so that kind of actually my stepdad leaving scarred me more than anything, because I was at an age where I was forming a relationship. I was consciously aware, and it kind of left me scarred towards men at that point. And that then led me to grow up thinking that I didn't know what it meant to be a man, because I hadn't had all these influences, experiences, etc. And all my friends would sit there and talk about, Dad did this and Dad took me to football and we watched football together and all this stuff, and And I was like, I don't know what these experiences are like, you know, I must be missing something. Oh my God, you know. And actually, I grew up, and when I started this journey, this last leg of, well, this leg of the journey, not last leg at all, many years to go. But in the last 3 years, I realized that actually I had a great opportunity, because from 0 to 5, I discovered my own masculine self. I didn't have any influence, and I didn't have
Beautiful.
to live up to other people's expectations to
You
be
formed
seen
your
as a
own.
man. Yeah, so I actually formed my own, and then
And chances are that is the most healthiest you could actually experience in a example. And I relate with that because I had the same experience.
yeah,
Like so similar. Everything you said is so similar. So
yeah, I heard your story before, and I realized we had this similarity. And yeah, I know, and but I had it because of the, let's just call it, the lack of available useful information at the time. I always had this question that thought I was less, you know, when actually
yeah,
I was pretty well formed. And you know,
totally.
yeah, and I actually thought I was more in line with my feminine because I was brought up by women,
Me
when
too, yeah.
I definitely I definitely have feminine qualities, which is good. They're developed in me, but then I also have very strong masculine qualities as well. You know, I like to observe, I like to provide, I like to sort of, you know, be there and help people, guide people. I'm more in tune with the unity energy than my own, to be honest, you know, of everyone.
Nice.
Yeah, and
And
yourself,
we had similar journey
yeah. Tell me a little bit about what happened for you, your own story with that.
with my masculine
Yeah, with your
energy.
masculine energy. Yeah.
Well, I grew up without a father. I never met him. I met him last year for the first time in my life.
Oh, wow.
When I was from Bali. I was back in Romania, and from there I flew to Costa Rica. Well, in that time, I was just 1 month there, and I said, my partner actually told me. She said, I think it's good for you to meet your father. And I said, well, I tried in the past few times, but he rejected me. So I had this feeling that was like, oh my God, rejection and all of that, which is our core wounding if you think about it.
Mm.
And then I was like, man, but if I'm a man, if I'm the man that I know I am and I believe I am and I feel that I am, I will do this. I will show up in a way that he never could. And
Hmm.
I will go to him and not judge him and show him that I have compassion and everything. And I did. So I met him and we connected, and it was so beautiful. I felt love. I had zero remorse, zero resentment. He told me the story. He told me the story from his perspective, not from my mom's perspective. And
Mm.
I empathized with him. He just said, bro, I could not, I was young and I was not prepared for this. And I gave up, and
Honesty.
he was
Nice.
really honesty, and he's a huge man. He's a
Hmm.
big man. And here I am with my father sitting in front of me drinking a coffee, and he's explaining me these things. And that really touched my heart, because that felt like in that moment, all the shadows that I created, all the illusions that I created towards him, and all the energy that I gave out
Mm.
from myself towards, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't have a father, dissolved.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I just realized we all did what we could, man. We all show up in the way we could better. And then I looked at myself and I was like, man, I'm different. I am freaking different. I'm showing up. I'm committed. I'm devoted. I'm like, my masculine is actually, as you said, so much more than I ever thought about.
Yeah. Awesome.
And writing my book the last months, I'm writing my second draft. I have deeper realizations on the journey, realizing that I actually always had masculine men in my life. My mom always kind of had some boyfriends, and I was around a lot of men when I was a teenager, and I was actually leading the pack all the time naturally. When
Mm.
you're a child, when you're playing and all of that. So I was like honoring that masculine in myself back, like that inner child, inner boy that I always thought that he's missing something, as you said. I
Yeah.
started to rebuild that connection with myself, and it's a journey still sometimes,
Hmm.
but it's so rewarding, and I see myself so much different than I used to. And that's the most important part of this.
Yeah, such a beautiful story. I mean, I love it. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how when, you know, you've got to sort of open and close loops, so to speak. When you have unanswered questions, you need to seek that answer to get what we talked about last week on one of our shows, closure. Yeah. So you get some kind of answer, you know, facing the fears, going out there and finding out. And I loved what you said about the other side of the story as well, because I think that's also another thing, is that unintentionally we do end up with a one-sided story when we're in these situations as children. And yeah, it's so good to find out the other side of the story and to put it all into place.
Yes, because that story is there. We just don't see it because you're so busy seeing what we don't want, actually, as you said in the beginning, instead of seeing what is and what is embodied and what is real and what we do want. And it's perspective, man. It's really a lot about perspective on this whole healing journey. At least it was, for me, was perspective, and perspective changes the body, composure, the cellular structure from within, when we shift our perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think perspective is one of the things that really helped me. So I've had quite a journey in my life. I've overcome addiction, overcome depression, overcome a lot of things like that. And it was really perspective for me, starting to see that there were other perspectives than my own. And then actually bringing my mind to step out of my own perspective for a minute and go, what could another perspective be? That really helped me evolve myself and move forward with my journey. And like you just said a minute ago, there are still days that I have doubts, but now I know that, well, those doubts are showing me there's questions I need to answer, kind of thing. You know, those doubts are saying, ask yourself some questions, dig deep. You know, what's here that you haven't resolved? What's here that you need to face today, that you need to look into and move forward?
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean, and a lot of these opportunities come from the things that we may not want to happen to us, you know, if there's the best way I can put it. I'm not going to label them good or bad, but the things that maybe we didn't want to happen to us, or we don't understand why they happen to us, those they lead us to answer questions.
And we take it, and we take it personally, and we go on guilt trips. I'm not good enough. Why is this happening to me? Well, it was not our fault. Most of the time, it was not our fault. Of course, we attracted that for whatever reason, because this is how laws of attraction work. But there's two co-creations in that, you know. But as a child, you just don't know, and you just miss, and you know, you can feel the lack and the contrast, and that really has an impact on us.
Yeah. So, do you think that having these scars in either our masculine or feminine help or hinder us to find balance?
Both.
Good answer. Okay.
Yeah, both. I feel like when we are unconscious of why and how and what happens, then it's they are working for us. They somehow guide us to answers indirectly, right? The pain guides you to love. The pain guides you to, you know, to answers, really, to healing. But at some point, we have to let go of the story, right? We have to move beyond the story and see it from that neutral perspective of, this was my path, I learned the lessons, but I'm a grown-ass man, and I'm fully responsible now for where the journey goes forward from now on. And I might still feel some, you know, vulnerability around it, and I might still heal some parts. That's okay. But this doesn't shape what I want to be or who I am. And you know, it's part of my experience, but it's not what I am. And that is what I also teach people about the creation journey in general. We are not the creation, we are the creator.
Yeah, yes.
You know?
Yes.
So that
sure.
it applies the same there. You know, we have co-created this painful experience for us for certain reasons, to understand certain things that we needed to understand and embody. And there comes a time when we have to let go of the journey, kiss goodbye our parents on their foreheads for co-creating with us, joining, forgiving them, loving them forward, if they are still in our lives or not. And take full responsibility, man.
Yeah,
Because when we don't, this is when it hinders us. So at
definitely.
first it's good. We learn from it. We mature through it, I would say.
Mm.
And then we have to let it go because it's just a waste of time if we still recreating the same story.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, responsibility is such a big thing. I mean, it's for me, it was something I shunned away from actually most of my life. Not sure why, but it was something I had a fear of. And I realized I felt like responsibility would make me trapped, I think is the best way I can put it. And I just wanted to be free. When in actually I'm aware now it's the opposite. When you don't accept your responsibility, you end up trapped and completely unfree because there's nothing happening for you and you're not, and it's all falling down around you basically. And
exactly. Yeah, I realized the same thing, man.
yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I know it's a really like life-changing moment when you suddenly start taking responsibility and you feel the fulfillment, the satisfaction, and the ownership that, hey, that was me and I'm making these things happen. I'm creating these experiences. I'm creating these outcomes. Yeah. Once you actually get there, that's a whole new thing that you can't go back from at all. And yeah, what you said about the we're not our stories, we're not the past, you know. Something I learned from doing inner child meditations is when you go back and you do visit that child, you're not that child anymore.
Yeah.
And so the emotion you're feeling isn't you, and you're not there now. It's just a memory that you've trapped within your body, and that's what you're there to remedy as the adult you are now, almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're sending love to the past version of yourself that you couldn't do it back then for whatever reason, or no one could. This is what it is. This is what my healing journey was. I constantly send love to the old version of me who needed it so freaking much.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I do that a lot, and I mean, we're talking about closure. I do a show on my Facebook profile and YouTube, and I did my own story. I interviewed myself, and there was so much stuff I'd forgotten in my life, and it was one of the most like invigorating, clearing experiences because as I went through all the events in my life, I realized, for example, there were still two things I was shameful of. And I was like, okay. But I'm not going to hide them. I'm going to go out and I'm going to talk about them live. Now I'm not ashamed of them, you know, and cleared the energy. So, yeah, I mean, so we talked about practices for heart and mind coherence. What about for masculine and feminine alignment and identification? You know, anything good for keeping getting yourself in alignment, keeping yourself in alignment?
You're asking about aligning with your feminine, aligning with your masculine, both. This is what you're asking me, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, one of them, which was the most impactful for me to harmonize my masculine and feminine, was dancing again.
Brilliant. Oh, like right.
Ecstatic dances, in free flow dances, not those structured dances that we learn. Those can help as well, not like salsa or all of these other things, tango and so on. That's cool. That's nice. That looks good. But dances that makes you feel yourself, feel your spirit, play free flow with your body, you know, do warrior moves, to express the emotions you feel inside in a physical way, really. That which you are, express that out. And I realized that when I was starting to dance like this, I was a bad dancer, man. When I started to dance like this, like 4 years ago, I naturally had the flow inside. And I was expressing all of these parts of me, Alex the warrior, Alex the soft feminine. Maybe I had like movements with, you know, like expression that seemed like very soft and, you know, different than martial arts movement and penetrative, you know, stuff. And it was it was beautiful to experience all of these nuances of myself, which ultimately what I was doing was to purify the old energies of the masculine and feminine inside my body that were stagnant there. I was liberating these out. I was creating a relationship of love with them and allowing them to get out of my system. And once I did that, I was naturally going back into this balance inside, into this harmony, into this alignment. Right? So this is what I do to balance both of them, to reach that unity between both. And then, of course, there's things that I do to connect with my feminine and things that I do to connect with my masculine. I like to do things, disciplinary things to connect with my masculine. You know, things that imply some kind of discipline and some kind of routine of showing up, of taking an action. Of course, that action is for my own sake and good, and I have fun with that. And on the feminine side, I allow myself to rest and surrender and give myself that nurturing love without the pressure of being productive, without the pressure of doing something. You know what I mean? I'm fully surrendering. I rest. I slow down and I become very soft and allow myself to be in that space. And with my partner, I even tell her, hey, I need my space now. And this is where I'm connecting with my own feminine. And in that way, I also don't rely upon her feminine. Right. So,
yeah, I like that.
You know, yeah. And then naturally my masculine comes up because I have a masculine attitude or energy generally, you know, I would say as well. So in a nutshell, these are some things. I can go on and speak about so many, but you know, we only have little time. So
yeah, for sure. No, that's brilliant. I mean, they're three really great things. So what I like is there's a coherence here with dancing. There's a coherence here with movement. Everything is a very simple and non-logical way to. Yeah, and when I say non-logical, I mean without using the logical mind and analysis and decisions and things, to just get a balance and energy flowing in your body. So yeah, I mean, last thing I'd like to talk to you about then is, what does it mean to be a new world visionary?
A new earth visionary.
Yeah, new earth visionary. So that's my words. Yeah, new earth visionary.
Yeah, well, I can just say what it means for me, right? Because I identify a little bit with that. When I had my awakening somewhere on the path, I've been connecting with beings from outside of this planet, with other galactic beings. I was channeling these beings and they were showing me things, and I realized that my soul is part of that lineage somehow. And then they show me a bigger picture. In time, they show me a bigger picture of why I'm here for. And in that bigger picture, there was an earth that was alive in both in a physical reality, so to say. So it was a visual picture, right? A visual thing of the new earth, so to say, but also a feeling in my body. Well, the vision was sustainability, alternative ways of living, in sustainable ways of living, innovative ways of using technology. And it was symbiosis between nature and technology, but not in a destructive way or manipulative way or whatever. It was just nature was the core and technology was supporting nature in that sense. So I saw that. Then I tuned into my body, and in my body, there was so much joy and harmony and peace and love. And I don't know how to I don't even know how to describe those words. They don't have a definition. Bliss, I guess, ecstasy. It was like, this is what you are here for. So I was like, all right. And then I was in Germany back then. And I was looking into the world and I was like, well, I don't know what vision I received. wait 1 second, it's a bike passing. Quite loud. So yeah, I said, I don't know what vision I received, but the world doesn't look like that in any way right now. So I was disappointed. I thought I'm hallucinating or I'm imagining this. And little did I know that in time, actually after 4 or 5 years, I'm experiencing that reality today.
Wow, amazing, yeah.
And I'm experiencing the beginning of that reality, the inception point, where all of these communities happen, where I connected on the planet with so powerful co-creators and community leaders and people who have technological resources as well as financial in all ways. And all these people gathered together to create that world, man. Like that world that I felt in my body and saw in my visions. So I'm like, I must be a new earth visionary. Because whatever I'm envisioning, even if it doesn't exist, it appears into reality at some point. So I feel like we're all channeling, really. What happens is that we're all channeling this new timeline of the planet, where there's a better way we live our lives, better lifestyle, better ways we're co-creating with nature in harmony and with one another and so on. So I'm just tuning into those conscious memories that will be in the future, are in the future, and download them now through this body, through this human vessel, into this collective consciousness of the planet, and they happen. Someone picks upon that and creates something. This is also what I'm sometimes doing with my clients. I'm just there with them and then supporting them through the journey, and they feel and take downloads from our channels together, and they have clarity upon what do they want to create further.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel like it is. And there are new earth leaders. So there are people who are leading communities. There are people who really take the action, the physical action. And new earth visionary, I guess it's the person who just can see it all and feel it all and bridge it, anchor it from the quantum into the reality, so that people can join that reality as well and create whatever they have to create in it.
Beautiful, yeah, I really love that. And I mean, I'm so aligned. This is what I love about being a conscious creator, and the power of vibration is that through thousands of miles we can end up connecting through all these different apps and being in the places where we're following our passion. We end up connecting with people with similar visions. I mean, I don't class myself as a channeler, although I do get a lot of knowing. I don't get clear messages and stuff. And a lot of my visions have come through actual synchronicities and my own conscious effort. And so from being depressed, I wanted to find the root cause of my depression, which led me to basically investigate everything in life. So I went through parenting, to separation, to love, to religion, to society, civilization, all these things, analyzed all of them, got some really deep answers, which completely align with the spiritual message. All life is energy. This is just one big chemical equation. We're all a bunch of atoms, we're all a bunch of chemical molecules floating around in one big, and all these different things. But then synchronicities started happening, and a friend of mine said, look, I've got a friend who's doing this project, and I think you would really love it. It'd be right up your street. He needs somebody to help him with the business plan. And so we were doing a business plan to get a grant for the 2020 eco grants in Europe, to start a sustainable, a renewable energy investigation and cooperative farming effort that was fully organic. And to get the grant, we had to justify the reasons for it. And I'm pretty good at going overboard. And I basically discovered that what we were going to prove would solve nearly all of the world's problems, right the way down to depression. Beautiful. Because sustainability as a whole reduces pollution, reduces unhealthiness, reduces the need for excessive living. Sustainability, just as it is, it reduces the disconnection from nature. It just changes everything. If each person or each town could become sustainable, you know, and work together to create sustainable communities, then everything would change.
Yeah.
However, I was at the time very focused on all the moving parts, and a bit like you, I'm really realized that the number one thing that has to change to make that reality is the belief in it, and the mindset of many people. They need to know that they can create the world they want, and the future I see, exactly the words I use, is a harmonious future. And you've said harmony so many times today. It's just been beautiful. It's been like music to my ears to hear you, the words you choose, because they feel like they're coming from my soul as well. And that's that I love.
That's the language we all speak, right? And that's how we know that, and how this co-creation happened, because we all speak the same language and we all carry that vision in our hearts. And I feel like we all have our parts in somehow, in one way or another, to that co-creation. And my journey also started in rock bottom. So
yeah,
they say that the path to heaven starts in hell. Well, sometimes I don't believe that all people should be there, and I don't believe you have to be there. I believe that you can outsmart that now, especially at the level of consciousness and information that's available. But those who did are also, I would say, somehow are the pioneers of different ways, because we explored all the spectrum. And yeah, we have a big understanding of it. You know, it was part of our journey, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I personally believe, and I've been through a lot of I've been through a probably the best way to put it is very long, dark night of the soul for most of my life. But I actually found heaven in what most people would call hell. You know,
you have to.
Yeah,
you have
and
to.
I found bliss there as well. I found what to me was freedom at the time, and this was before the responsibility as well. Was like I was able to just radiate positivity from one of the places where most people will be struggling without any fear or doubt that it was the right thing to do.
That's it, man.
Yeah, that was in my 20s, and that's what's led me here now. But then I have to admit, I wasn't consciously aware of the power I'd created within myself to really appreciate life. And I was easily influenced, is the best way to put it. I did let other people influence me for a few years after that. However, all necessary. I learned again so much, and I learned so much about unconscious living as well. I think life is about experience. As a person or as a soul, we're here to experience. You know, it's both. We're here to experience. And so the more experiences you can have, the more you can comprehend, understand, and really appreciate the beauty that we live in, I think.
Yeah. And the vast that experience is also, you know, and at some point it comes a point when you just choose, because if you experience all the spectrum, you have a perfect understanding of what you do not want anymore.
Yeah.
Because some of the things are so freaking painful and so disconnected from what actually is and should be, or not should be like all of it is there, but from what actually we want, let's say that. And then you realize, oh, I have a choice. Yeah, you have a choice. What do you choose today? You know, that's your creative power. Always. No one can take that from us.
For sure. And I love what you said there, because you like that is individually and collectively, I believe, about, you know, we have learned so much of what we don't want in life. Yeah. We've learned so many things that don't fit into the new earth, that don't fit into the golden age. And we know how not to have them happen. But without having made those mistakes collectively over the century, millennia, we wouldn't know, and they could still happen in the future. So in a lot of respects, you know, when I see a lot of people out there who are really stuck in the past, focused on things that happened, that were unjust, that weren't right, we learned from those things collectively that those things will not happen anymore. And the more we focus on, like you said, what we want and how it could be, or how we think it could be, the faster we'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
while we're still stuck there with our energy in the past, in the situation, those issues will still be there because we're giving energy to them, because we're holding them there. We need to look forward, not backwards.
For sure. And
Yeah.
trust that. So sometimes it's just enough to, some people say, well, but I don't have special gifts. I'm not like you. I'm not, la, 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 la. Doesn't matter. If you had enough of your experience, that's it, man. Do you want to still stay there, or do you want to, leave something else? Like, it is
Yeah.
that simple sometimes. There's no excuse. It's, you have choice. You can suffer, or you can choose to get out of suffering, really, which is conscious creation already. Because the suffering part is just survival, really. It's nothing, it's just perspective. It's not like someone wants you to, it's just evolution of consciousness. And you said, we learned so much from that over the last 3,000 years, that now we are ready, and we are actually moving into that direction very fast, where we, where we know what we want. Finally, we know what we want, also on a collective level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think more people are slowly aligning with that. And I've really, again, you say things that just resonate with me so much. So you said about how some people don't see that they have a gift, or don't think they have a gift. Yet we all, this is another thing that came to me in those years of exploration, we all have different gifts. Some of us are communicators, some of us are observers, some of us are creators, some of us are healers, some of us are lovers. We all have different ways of doing things, and often we haven't found what our gift is. That's the only problem, because what we talked about earlier, we're living somebody else's life a little bit. We're living with the beliefs and not clear on who we are and what we want, and working towards that. We kind of gone, oh yeah, that's that, everybody wants that, I want that as well then, because obviously that must be good, rather than actually going, what do I want today in my life?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, Alex, I mean, I've loved talking to you today. Really, really amazing conversation, and such an amazing soul. I'm really honored to have connected with you. And for anyone who doesn't know Alex, you can find him on Insight Timer. You can find him on Facebook. There'll be a link to his website in the description of this video, and this, or if you're watching the podcast. Alex, it's been a real honor to have you on today.
Thank you, man. For me too, it was really fun. And have a beautiful journey. And yeah, man, we keep in touch. We are in the virtual world.
We are now. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Alex.